Hey everyone, I'm back. Well, I never really left. I'm back online, I suppose, and want to get things rolling again. So, let's see. I got some new products I'm going to announce today. Got new eggs. This tank is driving me nuts a little bit. It's got some algae going on. Eggs are being laid all over the place. There's babies. You can see that those orange laser corridors are mating right now, and the glass isn't clean because I need to harvest eggs, and every time I harvest the eggs, I'm like, yeah, and then I walk away and I don't clean the glass, and then tomorrow they lay more eggs. So that's that's what's going on back there. I did add some. I did add some what do they call them? Like the fishnet Siamese algae eaters, like the cross hatch. So hopefully they're gonna help snack down on that. I also put in a super red bristlenose in there, just general cleanup. But we're starting to fill in. I mean, if you've been watching this tank for I don't know a year or something, definitely wouldn't have had this corner being as big and high, and then it's starting to fill in here, and then over here as well with like pogo stemmen. So uh, the more we fill in, the more fry we're gonna get. So, all right. Just woke up in Australia. Good way to start the day. Speaking of which, I will be in Australia in October. I'm going to be down in Melbourne, I think. Yeah, speaking at a club, and I think I'm visiting the Angfa Rainbow Fish convention as well. Some people have asked, like, what days am I going to be there the whole time? I don't know. We're not fully fleshed out yet. Technically, I haven't bought the tickets yet. I'm going to bring my wife, and so we're trying to plan what's the right balance of fish nerdery to my wife also getting to enjoy Australia. We both have never been, and besides riding a kangaroo and battling some wicked spiders or something, nothing else on the list. A lot of people have been asking, are we going to visit Keeping Fish Simple? Don't know yet. That's like a 5 hour additional flight, and then I've got invites to stop in at Singapore on the way to or from, and so already I'm fitting this in between uh, some other travel, and it's kind of closing in on both ends of like, oh, jeepers, and so I'll see what I can make fit, and so I'm not confident everything can fit, but either way, first time to Australia. It's a crazy flight. I want to say with layover of 2 hours, the way to get there is like 22 hours or something crazy. So on the way back, there's no better flight, so it's gonna be like 32 hours on the way back. So it's gonna be one of those like I try not to make it hit the ground running too bad when you're like Peru or Brazil. You start traveling a day and a half, 2 days to get somewhere, and by the time you land, your body's like actually exhausted, and so I kind of need a day of recovery. Let's see here. Made the live stream. That's right. At what outside temperature can you put Japanese Medaka fish outside? So I try to get the temperatures not out of a scientific basis, but out of just that's what I do. I try to get the temperatures somewhere close. So if it's 70 in my fish room and that's where I've been keeping them, I try to get it so that it's at least like 60 degrees before I try and move them out. That being said, I've got some out there that have been out all winter, and right now they're at like 49 degrees. But I do worry about going from an indoor warm, much much warmer scenario straight to cold. Yeah, you can acclimate over a little bit of time, but I try not to rush it. So, in general, I'll put rice fish out maybe in like April or May, all the way till like almost September, like until it starts cooling down again, and then I usually keep them in my house or garage or something, and go, well, when we get back to the season where it's going to start warming up, then they go out. Tips and tricks for keeping freshwater flounders. I've never kept them long enough to really have an appreciable tip for it. Like we can bring them in the store. The biggest tip is finding actual freshwater ones, not brackish that are being sold as freshwater. But that's just trusting the wholesalers on, are they actually identifying, are they trustworthy, and not so much the actual keeping of them. All right. Let's see. I'm working on some projects, working on the store. So if you're local and you go to our retail store, I'm working on some kind of a top system to put some sliding rails for the newer big tanks of the new expansion side, just to kind of work on humidity a little more. Humidity is not bad in the store. It's just that we're running a lot of dehumidifiers. So we're running 4 dehumidifiers, and part of my wanting to make the store, like a smart store, as in smart home, going to start automating that. And better than automation is just putting lids on things where it makes sense. Like, yeah, it will slow employees down catching, and there's, it's not always a great fit for every tank, but there are definitely some tanks that'll make sense, like quarantine. You have, like, fish tend to want to jump more when they're new. You can see the new Siamese alligators up here working. Might be eating those eggs, who knows. But new fish come into the store, they're more likely to jump. Once they make it to quarantine and go out to the sales floor, very few jumpers, but still more humidity out there. And then overall, just keeping the tanks kind of a couple degrees warmer. And what that does in the retail store setting for us is, if we can run the tanks a little bit warmer, we can run the air, like the air temperature in the store, a little bit cooler. And so it's not that it's overheated in the store, but it sure would be nice if we could keep it more at, like, 73, 74 instead of 79 to 80. And so, yeah, working on that project. Got more parts, just came over from 3D designer. And so printing those, and then I pulled a tank out and going to be working on that today. But being that I ran into a roadblock, that's kind of why I'm able to be here online, because the plan was like, okay, let me get this situated, let me get that done. And, as I map out my days, and when I hit a roadblock, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I got to wait for parts to print. I can go live. So, Casey, vivarium. Casey, weren't you something besides vivariums? I feel like maybe we're just Casey. Anyway, thank you for gifting memberships to 50 new people. Well, I don't know if they're new necessarily, but 50 people's got memberships. If you are a member, you can get a discount on our website, save 5%. And yeah, there's lots of other benefits. In fact, we just greenlit a talk on fish disease that are communicable to humans, technically. And Dr. Eric Thomas will be giving that. I don't know exactly the month. I don't know if we've penciled him in what month, but we are now in talks to get that going. And that's a subject that it's not talked about a lot, and usually not talked about by someone who works at a university, doctorate, all of that. So that'll be available to the members, because we hire them, we pay them, we do all of that, and we kind of go real nerdy on those. It's not always that nerdy where communicable fish diseases to humans, but we kind of deep dive. We hire people that we consider to be experts in that, So yeah, they're aquarists typically, but then they're experts in a field, right? So Oliver Knott would be an aquascaping expert, and he's talking. Chris Lukup talked about shrimp, the shrimp king. And so we try to find people that are knowledgeable in their niche, and then also usually don't tend to have a huge YouTube presence or anything. So if they already had a huge YouTube presence, you could just watch them. So yeah. Let's see here. When are a sinking food coming to Aquarium Co-op? I'm working on it. We're gonna take another run at flake food and sinking food. That being said, the new magic nuggets, they will sink. They're not sink like a rock type of dedicated sinking food, but good enough for corridoras and things like that. And the magic nugget sales pitch would be, you can crush them up. And so if you crush them up really fine, they're like magic small fish feed. Float for a long time, stay in the water a long time. The in-betweens, sink at a different level. If they stay intact, if you drop them on top of the water, they kind of catch air and they float for a while. But once they lose the air, they'll sink. So very versatile food. Like a tank like this, where I've got bigger mollies, bigger swordtails. I've got babies. I've got corridoras. I've got the eel. I've got plecos in there. I've got guppies. This means that if you only were going to buy one food, you could do it with this. I typically, since I'm feeding a whole fish room, I walk around with different foods. So it's not as much of I don't crush this a ton. Some tanks I do, because it's like, okay, I kind of really do need this in between size. But yeah, I mean, all three of these are open in varying states of use. And this is kind of what I walk around the fish room. I'll do, grab one, do all the tanks that need it. Then I grab the next one, do all the tanks that need it. And yes, this color is different. The manufacturer screwed up. So if you're looking for, and it's only the 16 ounce, the 4 ounce, correct color. But if you're looking for another oddball, product from Aquarium Co-op, this would be one of those. Like, yep, we put in the order, we give you a color code, you print everything else just fine. And we got this weird, I don't know what color to call this, but it is not Aquarium Co-op green. The label's fine, the lid's fine, but whenever they set the color to run more of these, was not fine. So if you're looking for that, if you're building an archive of every Aquarium Co-op screw up, which is probably like, an airplane hangar at this point, full of stuff we've messed up. Yeah. Are the nuggets similar to Keeping Fish Simple Bug Bite or Bug Buffet? I would say yes, in that, like, is one algae wafer from one company similar to another? Like, yeah, it's an algae wafer. The concept is there, but in terms of ingredients, much different. When I tested, it was a little more crumbly and stuff like that. Ours is a little bit harder, but not as hard as like a tetracolor granule or something like that. I should probably do the standard sales pitch for the magic line of foods, if you will. And I think what doesn't get represented well on the label, because this label has to be this crazy big and long because of different states and regulations. But the reality is, this food is whole krill meal, whole anchovy meal, whole shrimp meal, wheat flour to bind it together, because if you just grind up a bunch of shrimp and try to make anything out of it, or not grind up, but grind up a bunch of fish and shrimp, it doesn't hold together, right? So you need something, whether it's, at home, you kind of need the starch, right? Or you can use potatoes, you can use rice, like you can use flour. Like, what are you going to do? You got to do something. And wheat flour is what we're using. And then there's fish oil and some yeast. That's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 ingredients. That's, when you look at most fish foods, there's a laundry list, and they'll break things down to like, well, what about wheat germ and wheat germ middlings and wheat germ thingies? They do that so that proportionally each wheat germ, it's only this much. But you add them up, it's like, well, but this much of the food is wheat germ. It actually should be the number 1 ingredient instead of ingredients 2 and 6 and 9. It would, if you added them up correctly and didn't break them out, it would be ingredient number 1. We don't have that problem. But then you have this very long laundry list that makes it look like, well, don't you have a billion things in there? This is literally a multivitamin. So if you were to take a multivitamin, that's what this is. We're just adding it to the food, a big, broad multivitamin that has a million little things in it. And yeah, so it takes that 6 ingredient thing to like, oh, there's a billion things in there. It'd be the same thing as like if you made, I'm trying to think of something with very few ingredients, oatmeal or something. And then you were like, oh, I'm going to put a little bit of this vitamin powder in it. Same effect. So, yeah. Can't wait for the hang on back filter we make. Maybe someday. I pedal the bike about as hard as I can, so. Why is a giant sponge filter so close to you? I should do a thing where it slowly moves in. Like, every video or live stream, it moves half an inch. And over time, it's just like in my face. But no, the reason I moved it over here, because it's a big... It's a big sponge filter. And they're now for sale. Now, let me put the disclaimer. This is impractical. It is not practical for an aquarium. It is fully functional. You could use it for a pond or something, but it's expensive. This was a fun kind of let's do a meme type item, a collector's edition. In fact, the first run only had 75 because I was only willing to commit that many thousands of dollars to do this project. There is a custom box. I don't even have the custom box yet. It's on the way to me. But these things are $100, and I don't even care if that sounds ridiculous, but I'm still going to justify it. This thing weighs 12 pounds. It's bigger than the one I lugged back from China myself. We made them green. We actually made it be the thing. So if you're into it, which I saw somebody already double fisting. They're buying them multiple at a time, and I was like, whoa, that's some dedication. But yeah, and we are going to bring, I think we placed an order for 100 more, which is in a future container down the road. So if you miss this batch, there's going to be another batch, but we're not making any money on them. Like when I kind of talked about it, I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then it spiraled out of control to our cost is really high on these, like really high. You would think that, how much could it cost? These sponge filters we sell for $15. It's like, well, to make that, my cost to make that thing with tariffs is like, it's 4x the retail of our biggest normal sponge filter. And then the shipping is ridiculous because it's dimensionally big and heavy. So yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, we'll bring some in, they'll kind of float in a little bit, but it's like buying a teddy bear that's 6 feet tall. Like, it has no practical purpose other than people be like, is that a 6-foot teddy bear? Well, yes, that is a giant aquarium co-op sponge filter up on my shelf, covered in dust, never used. That's what that is. So is that the new item? That is a new item, but the new item is actually the magic nuggets, named because they look like chicken nuggets and the fish eat them like they want their nuggies. Okay, so yeah, those are the new oh, actually, that's true. We have another the cutest little container of magic small fish feed ever, the 1 ounce. To me, it reminds me, it's got to be like nutmeg or something. It belongs in the kitchen. Just get yourself a little sprinklings. Was it hard to source that transparent uplift tube? Yes, because it's made out of acrylic. It's not just plastic. It's acrylic, because it's not a lot. I wasn't going to open a mold, so I wasn't going to spend $5,000 to open a mold to make a plastic tube. But you can buy acrylic tubes. And anyone that's bought acrylic tubes know that that's not cheap. And then, if you really want to be dumb, you make a green acrylic tube. Yeah, if you said, how can I make this more expensive? You say, instead of clear, could we do green? And they get back to you and you go, well, that's possible. It's more expensive than clear, obviously. There's very few uses for that diameter of transparent green acrylic tube in the world. But I kind of said, like, if we don't go as close as we can, there's kind of no point to doing this. I did put the brakes on. We didn't make the easy flow system. That was going to be like $20,000 in mold fees, and I was like, this project is already throwing money down the drain. Let's not bankrupt the company over the meme sponge filter. So why couldn't you? You can totally use it in a bigger tank. Like, it is fully functional. I think it'll become apparent as you hold it, though. Like, this is not really a one-handed thing. Like, this thing is huge. Look at it next to my head. You, like, to get it out of your tank, if you didn't want it to release all the stuff, you need like a construction garbage bag to like pull this thing out, and 12 people. So physically, does it work? Yes. Practically, nope, does not. Oh yeah. Yeah, the price is good. Yeah, the price is good because we don't make any money. It's purely, do you want to have a cool little collector item thingy? Yes. Could we have extorted people for a decent amount of money? We could have, but I'd rather. I have this weird thing where I want to earn my money when people are happy with a product they buy. And so if I feel like something's too expensive, I won't make it because I'm like, I don't know. I want people to be, I want them to feel happy. Like when you buy it going, hey, yeah, this feels like it's worth my money. I try very hard to do that. And that doesn't always align because sometimes people don't have the same value. You might say, well, I don't think magic nuggets are worth that much. Like, that's fine. The people that do find value in it. There's people that want a $1 cheeseburger. There's people that want a $5, a $10, a $50. All those have markets. And as long as I'm not selling the $5 cheeseburger for $50, I'm okay with that. Yeah, same weight as 31 chihuahuas. That's probably about right. It uses normal air size airline tubing. So like, I guess I could take. I don't know why I'm spending a lot of time on this. We only brought in 75. We're probably getting close to sold out, but like these parts are legit. I gotta unscrew this thing. Like, it's got the Aquarium Co-op airstone line, and then you put the line through the top. Well, I'm gonna get it lined up with the camera there. Like, this is the only thing I'll say. The only thing I cheaped out on because I didn't want to open another mold. It's on average $5,000 per mold. The part where I cheaped out was the part you couldn't see. So this is PVC pipe that's been hand drilled. Like someone has to this part is handmade by someone. So that's the part I cheaped out on because it's not visible. I even had to have this made in coarse foam because the other one's not coarse foam, it's fine foam. But the original OG sponge filter, and the best sponge filter, I might add, always coarse. Put this bad boy back together here. Have I ever had green sponge algae infect the sponge filter? I'm not exactly sure what green sponge algae is, but probably, being that we have a store and all that, like, there's not too many algae we haven't had experience with. All right. Yeah, you'll definitely need a washing machine. I think on the product description, we actually say take it outside and use a hose or a very long or a very large utility sink, like if you're actually going to use it. So I was looking at the Fritz ACCR dry water conditioner, but it shows a picture of it in a pouch, and I was wondering why a pouch and not the tub. I don't know. Are you, for Reign of Zippy, are you saying that what you ordered you got something different? Or, like, as far as I know, we would have the thing we are selling. If they've changed the package and somehow that didn't go through the grapevine and we don't have the accurate picture, we'll change that. But yeah, as far as I know, it's still in a bag. The 1 pound's in a bag, I think. Oh, I see what you're saying. You see a tub there's a tub in the picture of one of it being used. So in general, a lot of manufacturers are going to bags because it saves money. And I believe that's... So I think you're seeing the older picture of it like that, and then the new picture of what we actually sell would be the bag. To be honest, we don't sell many dry powder dechlorinators. Didn't you make an old video at a German Tropheus breeder? Yes, we did. I don't remember the name of it, but we did. And it wasn't only Dystrophius, but it's all Tanganykan fish, and they had a lot of cool displays. I'd have to dig myself because I can't remember. I could probably ask Chris Lukup, and he would go, "Oh, it's this name, this German name," and then I would have to dig anyway. So, April's does have the magic nuggets. Should get mine Monday. Awesome. So yeah, you ordered them from April's Aquarium in Canada. If you're local, you could go pick them up. He ordered the day that we got them. So, and that's the way it works, by the way. It's everyone's on the same page, including my own store. So when they come in a container, we put them on the website, and then everybody can order them. Whether you're April's Aquarium, my own retail store, you at home, everybody's on the same foot. Like, if you want to get them from your local store, wait like a weekish. They'll be there because they'll order them, assuming they order them right at the get-go. If they don't, if they wait a little bit, well, it could take a little longer. How did the board meeting go when I brought up the sponge filter? Well, so they thought, well, one, it's like not a board meeting, just me and Randy typically, and maybe Zenzo, depending on what we're doing. But I do what I normally do, and I'm like, yeah, we should do that. And I thought I left it with like, yeah, so get back to me with what that's going to cost and what that looks like. And then like 6 weeks goes by, and I'm asking Randy, like, so where are we at with that? And he's like, oh, you were serious? I was like, yeah, I was serious. So then we actually started doing it and getting quotes, and that's where we found out it was gonna be way too expensive to actually make a true replica with the easy lift collar and the flow system. And I was like, okay, well, what if we just tried to make it like in green? And then what about the box? And it still spiraled out of control to not practical, and any other business person would be like, that wasn't a good use of money. Like, we're not going to lose money, but we're not making any money, and that's in general just not good for business. When you're like, but you did things and you didn't make any money from it and you took risk, like, that is true. But in a very long marketing plan, it maybe will help out. Have I ever kept traps in an aquarium? Like once, hatched them out once, but no long term. Do the black sponge filters sell better than the green ones? Let me look. Let me look at that number. I'll tell you what though. Fine sponge filters do not sell better than coarse. That one I know for dang sure. All 11 people that like the fine have purchased the ones they like. And then the rest of the entire planet's like, yes, coarse please. So if you're in team fine sponge filter, you're of a small group of people. Let me see here. Of sponge filters. So if we look at coarse black, over the last 90 days, we sold 4,300 black coarse ones. And then if we go to green, gotta find green on the list. It was nice when it was all one listing. Green, oh man, green has sold 5,132. So green, more sales than black, of course. We don't have green fine, but we do have black fine. Let me look at black fine. Black fine, 3,351 in the last 90 days. So obviously not 11 people, but if you were to combine the two courses, right? What is that? 3x at least the fine people. And again, that's kind of one of those like, that's not a great business decision. Like we basically sold about 12 to 15,000 sponge filters every 90 days. And then we split that up into 3 different types of sponge filters. Like obviously there's the sizes, right? The 4 different sizes. But we still sell the same amount. So we had to spend more money to do things and develop more packaging and all of that. And at the end of the day, what I thought would happen is happening. We just sell the same amount. So even though there's lots of people in comments and things, like over the years we've learned this, where it's like, I would so buy this if you made this change. And that person does. But it's not enough to actually change anything we do. Where it's like, yep, yeah, we reeled in the 26 people that were vocal in the comments. And when we look at the number, like we sold the literal same amount of sponge filters. Like, all right, that's fine. Luckily, this wasn't too crazy to, it wasn't too crazy of a lift. It wasn't huge on R&D. I didn't have to like, what if green filters differently? Like, same thing. So it wasn't huge. While we're here, let's see if people are buying sponge filter replacements, because that was another ask. Okay. So of the fine sponge filter replacements, we've sold in the last 90 days 484. So roughly 10% of overall fine sponge filter sales. It's a little more than 10%. And then if we go to coarse, we've sold 654. So again, people ask for replacements. Turns out, push comes to shove, I'd rather just buy another sponge filter, it seems like, is kind of what's happening. But I'm still big on carrying replacement parts, and so it's helping build out that section. How are we doing on the big sponge filters? All right. We're currently down to 60 of the giant sponge filters. So we've, not bad for being live for an hour. There's lots of people that probably, well, not lots. There's probably people that want them that are stuck at work, aren't watching, aren't doing things, have no idea what's going on. What's the expected lifespan of a sponge filter? It depends on how often you're cleaning it. So like a fine sponge filter clogs faster, right? And the more you got to wring it out, the more the cells break down. I say on a coarse sponge filter, on average, at least 5 years. So it just depends on how often you're cleaning. A store, like we typically start replacing them 4 years, roughly. Some tanks, because like a tank where you're moving fish in and out all the time, or like goldfish tank or something, we're cleaning it more often. So that one might get every 2.5 years or something like that. You sold 12,000 sponge filters in 90 days. In the store I work, I think we sold 4, single digit. Everything in the world basically revolves around marketing. And like, I've shown it to employees and stuff several times. Like, I'll sell 4 this hour. And they're like, what? Like, pick a product. I'll sell 4 of it. It's like, you just got to talk, explain the benefits. Like, what's the struggles people are having? And in general, that what I find in stores typically is the employees aren't trying to really pair up what the customer needs and the filtration. Instead, if you watch the people pull a thing off a shelf and bring it up to the counter and buy it. Where they will ask for help, like, ooh, what about this fish? What do you know about this? But when it comes to a physical dry good, there's a lot of people that will just be like, this one's more expensive, it must be better. Like, just in general, doesn't matter if it's, human food, cars, sponge filters, or filtration for an aquarium. In general, the more expensive it costs, to a point, obviously, people will assume that it is better. And if you spend the time and go, well, what are you doing with this? And like, oh, well, I'm having problems with, my tank's really dirty. And you're like, okay. And half the time you might be like, you just need to change more water. Or, you work through it and you go, well, yeah, I don't know that. You also will find people that they'll have like an AquaClear 30 and they're going to buy an AquaClear 50 and replace it and think it's going to like fix a bunch of stuff. And usually it won't. And so you might sell them an intake sponge, or maybe you go, well, if you're looking to spend money, maybe you get a sponge filter over in this corner, because in this tank, like having a filter in each corner would be way better than just, if I have a filter right here, upgrading just the one filter, and trying to explain like multiple types of filtration and how they can complement each other, and then how spreading them out might help, and then what air might be doing for an aquarium if they don't already have air. And but yeah, in general, we sell an insane amount of sponge filters, and we have videos on it. We use them, and that would be another thing I would say. In business, use what you sell. So if your whole store is running on hang-on backs, or maybe a centralized sump, or some other type of filtration, maybe all under gravel or something, you're gonna sell less sponge filters. If every tank is using sponge filters, you can go like, yeah, look at that discus sponge filters, look at that arowanas, Guppies, goldfish, African cichlids, like everything. Then more people are like, okay, maybe there is something to this sponge filter. And then as you can be like, and all of our breeders are using it too. So, but also I would say sponge filters aren't always the answer. Because sometimes it's like, I've got a display tank going in my dining room. And it's like, yeah, you probably want a canister filter. Probably. Here's why. But then there's, we also tend to get a lot of fish room people gravitating towards us. And so if you have 20 aquariums, you probably aren't buying 20 aquariums, too expensive. You need to buy something more economical. I would love to see a video of your 407 pre-filter in your parts. Let's see. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, there's literally one on it right now. It's right there behind the plant that I put to block it. But yeah, I use one. Every aquarium does need air. Best upcoming day to order plants for best variety. In general, that's like today, Thursday, Friday-ish. Because plants arrive Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the warehouse. The problem can be we get short shipped a lot. And I've been talking to some other stores, and, there's not enough plants to go around all the time. And so, if we only got 7 of those, they might sell out before Friday. And then you're like, but I wanted that one. So sometimes it doesn't always work out to have the biggest, variety possible always. Yeah, what was that? Does the 12,000 sponge filter sales include wholesale? Yeah, it does. To be transparent though, the number was the same before retail partner program. So now more of you are just buying from a local store that bought them from us. So like the same amount of sponge filters basically just sell. Is kind of what we've established over the last, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. Wouldn't be surprised if the big sponge filter sells out. Oh, it's gonna sell. Well, I shouldn't. I'm very confident it will sell out. Just because we didn't bring many in, and it's. I do know at some point when we don't bring them back in anymore, there's gonna be people like, oh man, and it's like, yeah, it's because they take up a lot of room. Like this big sponge filter, like half of the problem. It's so big, even in a cargo container. Like when we ship them over, like the amount of shipping for each one to get to us, and then just the fact of how expensive they are to have made, and then there's tariffs on top of that, and then we got to ship it to you, which is expensive. They're not high on the list. They're more like, we have a little bit of room on the container. What could we throw on there and that would be that item. So, and not too often do we have extra space on a container. So we're gonna be backfilling, like, yeah, throw some on, but that's gonna be sporadic. It's not gonna be a dedicated. Hey, we gotta reorder those. My wife would be mad if I got a giant sponge filter. Yeah, you kind of have to work at a fish store, I think, to even come close to justifying it. How many guppies in a 10-gallon tank with shrimp? As many as you can fit. I start with like a group of 2 boys, 4 girls, let them breed up a storm, and then a lot. I knew a breeder that would routinely, and I know the number is going to blow your mind, but at one point he had 300 in there in a 10, which I'm kind of convinced it was more fish than water, but he was really pushing it to the limit. He would water change every day. He'd take a big old pitcher and he'd be watering his plants. He was kind of a gardener guy too. And he was feeding the fish rapashi with bee grubs mixed into it. It was very messy. He's getting great growth. And he was kind of just, he had done a lot. He had owned a fish farm at one point. So he was kind of just going, what are the limits I could push, because it's a fun experiment and it made lots of fish poop for his bonsai and all the other plants that he was doing. So it, he was kind of gonna do the work either way, and so he wanted to see how far could he push it. So, do I recommend you do that? No, I don't recommend anybody does that. But if you're trying to go to like the stupid limit, that's how you start getting to the stupid limit. The huge sponge filter is going to be a collector's item. Kind of. Collector's items are funny in that, you know, they only have value in the eye of the beholder. Most people in my family are like, "What's that?" And they wouldn't even know, like, "Oh, that's the biggest sponge filter." Oh, So, but I do think it's cool when you stumble upon stuff in a fish room and you're like, "Whoa!" Like, I still think it's cool the big like metal Tetra flake cans they did for a while. I don't own any. I should. I should track some down. Just because I think they're cool. I don't know. I have no use for it. I don't feed Tetra flake food, but just going like, oh, that giant yellow can that's a little rusty is just a neat thing. And so I do kind of have an eye for things where it's like, oh, you had to be. I wonder how much fish food you had to sell to get one of those, or however that was going to be. Will we ever see your product in the UK? I don't know. I honestly don't. I like to think so, but I also can realize like worldwide politics, my capacity to like what I'm noticing in the long run in business, I could make new products or I could work on getting my products to another country. And I don't have time to do both really. And it's really expensive and time consuming to start adding people onto a team to try and accomplish that. And so we just haven't so far. So could that be next year? Could it be 5 years? Could it be tomorrow? All of those things are technically true, but also they all could not be true. Like, yeah, it's 20 years from now. Or, like Canada exists because April's Aquariums came to us and begged us to do it. And we're like, if you make it so there is no extra work on our end, we will do it. And they've basically held to that. And same thing, like if someone out of the UK was like, hey, I want to start spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and I'll make it so that it's minimal work, which it won't be like, you'd have to start converting labels and things and all that. So you got to really want to do it. And we'd have to believe that you're a good business partner on top of all that. So, but that, who knows, that email might come in tomorrow and that might get running over the next 18 months. And so even still, we run into things that we have to deal with for Canada and it's other things. And, it's not easy, but now that we're there, we're still doing what we can. Want to make a giant magic fish food container and send it to you as a store display? Yes, that'd be sweet. It shouldn't be, well, I shouldn't say it shouldn't be. You could probably find like, how do we get a giant, almost like a 5-gallon bucket, and then like some kind of giant label? Someone could probably like, oh yeah, I scan the label. I own a vinyl printing machine thing that does like the 4-foot rolls. You could probably do something like that. Ooh, less than 30 days till you hit the 5 years, Mr. Wyrock. Nice. Nice. I haven't checked in a little while. I need to make sure we're not creeping up on, is it year 8 now? Yeah. Because we got to start developing a new coin and doing things. And if I don't start early enough, it's like mad dash to get it done. Anyone know any coupon codes at the store? I got one for you. We don't have one. I'm finally buying from him. My cart is over 120, and I just want to get that number a little smaller. All the things in the store are so nice. The things you could do, you could become a member. If you become a member and you sync up your account on the website, you'll save 5%. There's no code to do that, but you got to sync it up. So you'd pay $5 on YouTube, which I realize you're spending $5, but then you'll save like $6. So you save $1. The other thing too, don't forget, if you spend that 125 before tax, which I realize that's making the number go up, not down. I hear you. you do get a free t-shirt. So while we don't have a discount code for you, we do have, there's some ways to either save a little money, become a member, then you get access to the like 60 professional talks we have, and the Deep in the Mullen podcast, and the discount, and or spend a little more, get a free t-shirt, or you could go to our physical retail store and you save 5% if you're a member there also. Or if you're a Greater Seattle Aquarium Society member, you could save 5% if you went to our physical store. So there's like some ways, but I just don't like playing the game of making discount codes, inflating the prices for everybody, because I, as a consumer, I don't want to go to the fast food place and have to order through an app and get a code and do all of the things so I can get French fries for $2.49 instead of $6.89. I just hate the game I have to play to pay the real price. And so I try very hard for you guys to not have to do that either. Like, I had someone ask, like, if I buy 10 pounds of food, can I have a discount? And I said no. Like, that would undercut our retail partner stores. And also, the price is the price. If I could give more discounts, we would lower the price. And we do. We do lower the price. In fact, I can call one out. This week, we lowered the price on the multi-test strips, both the 200 count and the 25 count. That's right. So, and people notice, they'll email us over time, they'll see like, hey, this went down in price. Like, yeah, we found a way I could lower the price, and so we did. I don't know about most, but some companies would say, let's leave the price and let's put out a discount code. People think they're getting a better deal. It's like, we'd rather just straight up, this is the price. That's the way it is. That's it. Let's see. I'm happy to see the blue shirt with all the fish are back in stock. That's right. AKT, if you're listening, you'd be lucky that I was tied up for like a week, because I was on the Deep in the Mullen. I was going to rant something fierce. I don't care that you got hurt. Shirts can wait for no one. This is where I'll find out from Jared. It'll be like, actually, it was Randy's fault. Like, oh, sorry. Yeah, we've been giving out a lot of shirts. Do I have those facts? Between how many have sold and how many give out? I think they sell, even though they're $0. I think they sell, so I can track it. Like that blue shirt. We were out for a little while. You like all the fish shirt. We've either sold or given away 815 of those shirts in the last 90 days. Yeah, is that the most popular? I think the plant one's the most popular. No? So far, the fish one is the most popular. Least popular? No, not that. Most popular is the Elmer and Friends at 889 of those shirts in the last 90 days. So, I got the best box of Aquarium Co-op stuff this week. I got an Anubias that was blooming, and due to the blizzard, it arrived right on my birthday. Well, happy birthday. Had a customer ask me today if I wanted payment for an item he was getting. I was like, yeah, that's how it works. We pay money for the widget. Yep. Yeah. There's some weird questions that come through. I'm convinced that there's a little bit of autocorrect and a little bit of just like mental disconnect where it's like, oh, I had a whole conversation in my brain, but the sentence I wrote down, I meant to say, what is the best way to pay you instead of should I pay you or something? Because I can't imagine you're just like, so I got the things now. Do people normally pay for the things at the store, or do they just walk out? I can't imagine that's actually what's going through their brain. Let's see here. I was reading something, then I lost it. Oh, what's the most popular fish in the store? Brigite rasboras. That's pretty much every store on the planet. British Reservoir is number one. How often should you put liquid fertilizer in your tank? I've got a 20 gallon. Well, in a perfect world, every day. So if your tank needed whatever fertilizer, Easy Green's the best, by the way. But whatever it is, let's say you needed 10 milliliters, but I'm going to make this easier. Let's say you needed 7 milliliters, because it's going to make really easy math for everybody. If you read the instructions on whatever fertilizer that said, oh, I should put 7 milliliters into my aquarium, it would be optimal to put in 1 milliliter every day. However, you might be like Corey. Corey's lazy. I'm lazy. And I'm going to do that like once every 2 weeks, and I'm going to go like, hey, here's 30 milliliters. But like on this tank behind me, it doses every day. So you see this right here? That's the pump that pumps Easy Green. So if I go into my Casa timers, and I go right here, I got 150 gallon doser. I'm going to turn that on. We're going to put some Easy Green in there right now. If it stops lagging, it's the circle's going around. There we go. So it sent the command. Oh, it like failed. Do it. There we go. Is it going to do it? I'm doing it. Are you moving? Yeah, it's. So if you watch this thing above me, it's going to move very slowly. And that dosing pump is from Bulk Resupply, our mortal enemy competitor. Not really, but they are a competitor. And the reason I bought that one specifically is because it moves really slow, so that my Casa timer, I can program it by the minute, because some of them are crazy fast where it's like in a minute would be like 100 milliliters. And it's like, well, I don't need 100 milliliters. And the Casa timers only go down to like by the minute. So every minute that this one goes, I think it actually puts like 2.1 milliliters in there, the way I have it calibrated currently. But as that thing keeps slowly moving, we're pumping a little bit of Easy Green into the aquarium. And that runs every day for that tank. Same for the 800 gallon. And then I've got half of the 40 gallons doing that as well. Not because it's so much more optimal, mostly because when I'm traveling, I'm out of town and everything, I don't want to make my wife or mother-in-law or anybody like, yeah, I really need a dose of Easy Green. So I'm trying to get it so that the fish room itself is more self-sustainable and not as much, this is a real bear every time Corey leaves. So like, for instance, when Katie and I are in Australia, if we have her mother watch the dogs, then she's got to come out here, she's got to feed all the fish. And if I'm trying to say like, hey, every like Wednesday and Sunday, could you also dose all of the tanks? And here's how you're going to do this. So I'm trying to, trying to reel it back. Let's see here. I got all the shirts, I think. Co-op is the best, and Candy is the best ever. Puffers rule. What do you think is the best looking old world cichlid? I think, one, I'm not even 100% sure of the definition of old world cichlid, so let's be clear here. It gets a little murky for me. But I think when you see a breeding color jaguar cichlid, that purple coppery tones, whew, that's a good looking fish. Real mean, but it's a good looking fish. So I would call that one out for today. Which is better, Guppies or endlers? I like keeping endlers more because they seem to be bulletproof. However, Guppies look better in my opinion. They also sell better too. If you could carry the 1 pound spirulina flake, I would buy it. I understand the warehouse space and shipping size is an issue though. Maybe there will be an Aquarium Co-op branded flake in bulk. Oh yes. I fully intend to someday find a really good flake food at an incredible price that will replace Extreme. And that's not a dig at Extreme, by the way. Just inherently, if we can find something and we can manufacture it, we're cutting people out of the supply chain. Ooh, I almost knocked over this food. and we should be able to offer it at a better value, just as how the things work. However, I've been trying to do that for like 4 years now, and I have not found a flake food that is currently better than the krill flake from Extreme. So that's why we still sell it. I still have an open container. I still feed it from time to time, and it's my metric, right? So if I find a flake food, I'm like, ooh, I think this one's real pretty good. I start kind of A/B testing between krill and that, going, and it wouldn't strictly have to just be like better, as in the fish attack it even more. The way I would explain that would be, let's say krill flake is steak, right? Like, okay, I gotta find something that tastes better than steak. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, because if steak is $10 and I could get you a cheeseburger that you're like, ooh, this is real good, and it was $1, the cheeseburger doesn't have to taste better than the steak, but the fact that it's so much cheaper, that value could come in. And so I haven't found the correct value where how good it is and the price balance out to like, this would be great for people. And I've got some ideas on how to kind of do it in bulk and things like that. But I found stuff's pretty good, but not good enough to bet the farm on it. I don't want to put out a food where people are like, that food sucks. Because if you buy a food and it's not good from us, then when we bring out, you're going to like, oh, I don't want to try that other food because that last food I got from wasn't very good. So, got high standards. Let's see. Do I have an opinion on whether platinum Madaka rice fish or white cloud mountain minnows would be the best for my first pond? Oof. I would go whatever you think looks cooler. I can make a case for if you go with white clouds, like I love a white cloud. In fact, I heard the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society is hopefully going to start a white cloud race at some point. I'm going to try and compete because I love white clouds and I love the race aspect of it. But I also can appreciate the Madaka rice fish. However, if it's your first pond, there's something to, I love being able to buy like feeder white clouds or very cheap white clouds, put them outside. They look amazing under the sun. They're really, really hardy. You're not investing a whole bunch of money. It hurts if it's your first pond and raccoons come and eat them. Losing $7 for all of your white clouds, way easier than like, oh, he just ate $40 in rice fish. Like, no. Uh-oh. My robot vacuum just woke up. I gotta put that thing back to bed. Finished charging after the morning session, and let me tell it to go home. You're drunk, Yuffie. Go home. We're gonna hit the pause button. Right now, it's getting its automatic haircut because if it picks up hair, it cuts it. So finish cutting your hair. That's right. My robot cuts its own hair. And then go home. Have I ever kept neon swordtails, and what do I think of them? Yes, and awesome. In general, I like swordtails a lot. I'm not good at breeding them. I always I make some, but I've never had, like, there are breeders, and I've worked with them where they're like, yeah, each spawn I get over 100 babies. Every time I do it, I'm like, I got 4. I only got 11. Like, what am I doing wrong? Yeah. White cloud race. White cloud race. Yeah, so the white cloud race for our club, when I was doing it, because I was the breeder award program chair, was everybody could buy, well, they didn't have to buy, everyone could start with 6 white clouds in a vessel. Could be in your fish room, could be outside, didn't really matter. Could be gold, could be Vietnamese, didn't really matter. The goal was fun. So start with 6 white clouds. And then throughout the whole summer, make as many of those white clouds as you can. At the end of the summer, count them all. And then we'll all submit and we'll all have a ton of white clouds. And then people will get some low tier prizes of like, cool, wow, you made so many. And I think what everyone learned was the real prize was that your family got involved, that you learned about all the other animals and the frogs and the other things that would go into your pond. You'd learn weird techniques watching me build bug zappers and bug whackers and things like that, trying to get more food to the pond and trying to optimize. And you learn so much through the exercise that was the reward, at least for me and a lot of people. And then yeah, maybe you won a $20 gift card or something, and that was fun too. And then you could sell or trade in your white clouds to a local store, and you're only getting 10 cents each, but you made, I think my best year ever, I made 200 and some. And so I took them into the store I worked at, and it took forever to sell them. But I also took so I brought them inside because they're in like a 55. It's also really cool because I think most of us would have never experienced having 200 and some of any one fish in an aquarium. So even that was just fun itself. And so yeah, that's what the context of a race for the white clouds are. Now your club or whoever could do it with Danios or anything, but white clouds pretty much will raise themselves. They're really easy. Yeah, so I would love to see, because I nerded out. I was like, well, if I start hatching them out brine a couple times a week, if I get them this food and that, it gives you a reason to be doing the thing, and that's all I need. It's kind of, there must be hobbies you guys have where you're like, did someone just say they're into mountain biking? Because you've been nerding out on it so hard, and you're like excited to help somebody else nerd out with it. And that's what the white cloud race was. It was basically an excuse to like set up a pond and do things I don't normally do inside. Like, well, I've never set up a bug zapper dangling over my pond. How could that work? Let's see here. I'm on the last day of a 5-day Maricin treatment for mouth rot on neons, and a few are still showing symptoms. Do you think it would be better to do another treatment cycle or switch to ICX? Me personally, I use ICX in conjunction with Maricin, because mouth rot, a lot of times, it's like that cottony growth, that fungus is actually treated better by ICX. However, the minute you treat the fungus, you're left with a bacterial infection. So I can only tell you what I would do. If I had mouth fungus in this tank behind me, I would put 1 dose of Maricin in. I would also put 1 dose of ICX in. And then I would let it sit for a week without water changes. And for me, 90% of the time, that would fix it. That's what I would do. Now, everybody on the planet goes, but that's not what the directions say. But what about this other meta I'm doing? But what about? There are always different factors in life that could change things. I can only tell you what I would do. People will say like, well, I have baby fish or I have eggs in the tank. And I would say, what I would do is the thing I just said. Because if I'm making corridor eggs now, which are right there, they will do it again. Even if I would obviously collect those eggs first and whatever, but that's how I would treat it. Doesn't mean I'm always right, but I've done these things a lot. And so that's what my brain tells me. Do this, it'll work. You've got repetition. That's worked before. Is it crazy to keep ranchos outside over winter? Mine are thriving so far, and it's through their second winter outside. Doesn't sound crazy to me. It sounds like it's working out just fine for you. How did the goldfish go this summer? Went well, but I was in like Brazil when they were tallying winners and everything. So definitely some people tried real hard and made some beautiful big fish. I just kind of fed them and enjoyed them. I still have them in the pond actually. So they are in my what I call the control tub. The only tub that doesn't have a top. I wanted to get the data over the whole year of like how hot and cold does it get without having a top versus the top. So they're in my control tub, and still just doing control tub fish things, living there, eating stuff, swimming. Yeah. Let's see, 1:30. I know my print's been done for a while. At some point, I should cut this off and get back to the work tasks. I'm a beginner in the hobby, and I'm cycling a 5-gallon tank. I noticed a scud. I think it's a scud. Hitchhiked on one of my plants. Is this a good or a bad thing? I think it's kind of cute. Well, I am of the opinion that when you are interested in something, it is now a good thing. But I will go into that technically, if you had a crazy amount of scuds and fine leaf plants, and you're not feeding the tank where the scuds can eat other stuff, they will eat on plants. However, a bunch of my tanks have scuds in them, and they're great fish food, and I think they're kind of cool, and they don't seem to be problematic for me. So, back to the original question, like, should you use it good or bad? Depends. Some people can't stand the sight of a snail because they're creepy. If you think it's kind of cute, I think that's a bonus. One person says scuds aren't cute, but cherry shrimp are. And I'm like, well, they're both just crustaceans. They're both cool, in my opinion. Pretty much anything moving in an aquarium, I instantly go, what's this thing doing? I wonder how this interacts with the rest of the ecosystem. And then I watch it. And if it doesn't kill everything, then I go, neat. Hopefully I get more things that live in my tanks. So yeah, I personally would just be like, yeah, cool. I'm going to see what that does. And then one day I'm going to be like, oh man, the fish I bought, eat it. Well, there went Scuddy. Okay. Work is so boring. Talking with us is more fun. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, other than things build up and then it's stressful for me when it's like, oh, it's Sunday night. I know people are waiting on the result of this to keep going. So unfortunately I have one of those jobs that it's like, if I procrastinate, it doesn't go away. Like in the store, let's say I go hide and I don't talk with the customers. That work doesn't build up because it's like, yeah, they just work with other employees. Great. But work where, like this project I'm working on and stuff, there's nobody else to work on it. So it literally is only me. And if I don't work on it, then you wake up tomorrow and you're like, oh, no one worked on it? I guess that's still me. Dang it. And then the stress of like, oh no, I'm supposed to have a meeting on this and someone's waiting to make a move. So I try not to let things fall back too far. Is it possible to collect pygmy Corydora eggs, or are they just too small with gravel and sand? Well, they don't lay them on glass as far as I know. I think they're technically collectible, not in a normal way. Like pea puffer eggs are super small, but you can collect them by gravel vacuuming. I'm sure you could probably do something kind of similar with the pygmy Corydoras. However, in a colony, they usually don't eat their own babies, so they just raise up anyway. So you don't really need to collect the eggs. Have I been doing any underwater photography since Brazil? No, none. Yeah, none at all. I kind of want to still. And I almost brought it to April's Aquarium when I was there a couple weeks ago, but I was like, I'm not going to have time to do this while I'm there. They're going to want to talk about other stuff, which was true. So yeah, I'm still like in a underwater photography like Reddit where I'm passively learning. Like I'm not really learning, but like consuming. And so, because it's a lot on deep saltwater stuff, so most of it's not applicable to what I'm really trying to do, but I keep my eye out for like, ooh, maybe there's a new piece of gear or a new technique or a new thing or being inspired, any of those. But no, I wouldn't say I'm actively working on it. I missed your opinion on having a sump full of terrestrial plants above the 800-gallon tank. Let's see. I haven't done that at 800-gallon. I did it for quite a while on our 360-gallon at the front of the store before it ever flooded the store. And for me, basically what I noticed was they look good. I like plants. Like I had peace lily and pothos and spider plants and things like that. They look good, but I'm not sure that I've ever been able to quantify how good are plants up out of the water, immerse grown plants, really cleaning or scrubbing the water. Partly because I do automatic water changes and I have so many plants down in the tanks that I don't think I'm having that problem to begin with. So it'd be like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something where like if you already have someone sweeping the floor and then you hire a second person to sweep, if it was already clean before you were hiring the second person, is the second person helping sweep? Like they physically sweep it, but if there's nothing in the dustpan, is it doing anything? And I think that's kind of how the terrestrial plants go for me, of like, they look good, but I wasn't having a buildup of nitrates before that, and now I'm still not. So, and mostly with like the 800 gallon, it would be so high. What I don't like is as you do get, like this wall still has, you can see like these lines here, all these lines on the wall. That's where the vines grew into the wall. And so there's still like maintenance. So even though I liked it, it's like, well, it's adding maintenance, and I definitely have swung much more into like, I'm really not trying to add more maintenance to the job. Instead, trying to add more enjoyment. I think my scuds are eating my hair algae. I should get some scuds in there. Get some help. Lumpy dog. Nice to see you, Lumpy dog. One of the OGs. Do your dogs ever acknowledge or watch your fish? Mine just happened to notice my fish after 3 years. No. For one, all my tanks in the house have always been at a level they couldn't really see, like, on a stand. And then two, for the last 5-6 years, they've been out here. Now the dogs will come out here, but they'd have to like get up on this couch, and then they don't really like. Tinky would be the one where, like, if we had a flower horn or something that was on a tank on the ground, I could see Tinky and the flower horn flaring off against each other. I could see that happening. That seems likely. But as far as, yeah, they just don't really clue in at all. Thanks for the info. I kind of like the scud because it's interesting to see something moving while the tank is cycling. My crypt is melting, so hopefully it eats that. Yeah, and really most things that end up in our water, they have a job. And a detrivore like that, so things are decaying and just that's what that thing would live on in the wild. So currently that scud is helping your aquarium. If you get way out of balance and you've got way too many and not enough food going in there, they could start trying to eat healthy plants. But as long as you don't let those extremes happen, they're kind of just nice to have around. Snails, same thing. They're meant to just kind of help clean up also, but they can get out of control if we're feeding too much and doing things. So, yeah, I still think they're a bonus. What would you put in with a single male betta, X-ray tetras, or zebra danios? Oh, you're asking which one of those two. I think the danios might be too fast for the betta and might stress them more than the X-ray tetras. Or do I just do guppies? Tank would matter. Are we talking a 5 gallon? We talking a 20 gallon? We talking a 55 gallon? If of those so far, I would choose X-ray tetras. I would probably say like endlers, probably even better. They don't have the big flowy tails. They don't have the same colors. They're pretty hardy. But again, I don't know the size of aquarium, so it's hard to, I don't want to be taken out of context and like, turns out the guy has had a 1 gallon. Corey's saying, load it up with endlers live bears. There's always more dog hair in the dustpan. Well, that you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. We're pretty much a dog hair factory at my place. I was looking at it from aesthetic purposes. You make a good point. At my age, do I really want more maintenance? That's the question. I've, as you guys have witnessed, I've done tons of things like this seems like it's gonna be awesome, and then you get the other side of it, like, oh, yeah, it's cool, but I don't know if I'm still into it. And so now that I've done, I've had enough rounds to go like, yeah, kind of just not doing the plant thing right now, even though I was like, maybe I want like a plant on my desk. And then I'm like, no, I don't want more plants. I don't want more plants. Is there anything I'm looking for right now in terms of new fish to add back in the fish room? Well, I just did. I got some fish in, picked them up at the airport on Tuesday. Paid full retail, ordered some fish from Dave's Rare Fish. Sells a lot of Tanganykan cichlids. You got to be of the Tanganykan nerd variety to want to pay those kinds of prices. But I brought in some Burchardi, Neolamprologus Burchardi, because I want to breed those. I haven't done that in quite a few years. Brought in some more Cyprichromis, and I brought in some Wapoga Red Laser rainbow fish from him as well, because he had some of those. So I'm hoping to kind of grow all those out. All of them are young. Grow them all out, breed them over time. But they're all, the Wapoga Red Laser technically are viable. What I mean by that is if I make more, the store can sell them and people will love them. I make more sips and make more Burchardis, I'm kind of just making problems for myself. But the Cyprichromis thing is almost like a long-term plan. There's a chance that I might populate the 800 gallon with a bunch of, it's basically a schooling cichlid. And so we'll see if I end up doing that down the road. I'm probably 18 months out from that making any kind of sense of, okay, because I've got fry now, the fry got to grow up, they got to breed, I got to make more. And then do they grow out and do they look colorful enough to what I want to dedicate the 800 gallon to? 18 months away from really knowing all that. Let's see. Oh, I didn't realize it was a Tyler Woodhouse question. I just went to read it. I was like, oh, Tyler messaged me. What else am I looking? I'm definitely on the starting to get a craving for a Mabu puffer again. That craving's definitely here, especially as I keep battling snails. I keep telling myself, if I had a Mabu puffer, this wouldn't be a detriment. I'd be going, oh, watch this. Here, ladybird, eat 'em. And it feels good. So, yeah, one of these days I'm going to ask Broncho and be like, hey, next time you see him on the list, let's start. I think I'm ready to get back into that game. And so part of my plan, Cyprichromis, Lake Tanganyika, Mabu puffer, Tanganyika, right? Is that right? I want to make sure I'm not, because I could be starting misinformation there. I want to see that. Congo River Basin and the eastern shores of Lake Tanganyika. Woo! Because my brain was like, wait, I know they're from the Congo rivers too. I don't want to start, am I misremembering? But no, yeah, they all also there. So anyway, Cyprichromis fish, Tanganykan, Mabu puffer, Tanganykan. And then I was also considering, do I want to try it again? Because it didn't work out the first time I tried it. And that's always a recipe for and you're going to try it again, fool? The giraffe catfish. They eat so much. But they're also found in Africa, in lakes and streams. And they get 3 feet. And I have one of those in the fish room right now. So... and he's getting to be a little chonker too. So it's in the hemisphere though of me soon. I might need to be taking the Mabu puffer on the road show, having him help out the Shodenai puffers, going, hey, start chomping down more of these snails. And mostly because I get reminded every time I open the freezer, I still have 5, well, no, more than that. I think they're 2-pound packages, 10 pounds of clams in the freezer. And I'm like, they're never going to get used up unless I get a Mabu puffer, pretty much, or a bigger puffer. I guess I could get a Faka or a Cross River puffer or something. But I still love Mabu puffers, and it's long enough now. Going, yeah, I could get one of those, and then also thinking about it's gonna scratch up the tank again. Yeah, but I polished it last time. I don't know. I could go Mabu puffer again. Let's see here. Which cichlid would I recommend for a 55 or a 40 gallon for someone who has for someone to have a thriving tank for a year but new to cichlids? Okay. What would I do? Africans can be a little daunting with their attitudes. If you specifically want cichlids and you want to just like really have them thrive, I would probably get some earth eaters. Maybe you get some tapajos or some juraparis. If you look up geophagus, which if you don't know how to spell that, it's rough. But if you look up earth-eating cichlids, they're fairly forgiving, laid back, kind of easy. We were watching some last night because we had our little group thing where it was just like Dean, myself, and a few others. I'm not gonna name everybody because I just realized like they might not want to be named to be hanging out. But you know, the person's home we were at had a nice tank with some geos and some severums in it, and it was next to their dining room. It was very peaceful and just like, that's a cool looking tank. And everybody thought that, like, oh man. Everyone kind of left that going, maybe I should be doing that. That looks pretty cool. So yeah, I would look into those. I like them. Am I making any other appearances in Australia besides the ANGFA convention? Yeah, officially I'm being brought in by the ASOV Club, I think. Aquarium Society of Victoria, maybe? Is that if I'm remembering right? I'm going to give a talk there. But nothing else is cemented yet. So there could be like, turns out I'll be at the store this day. We're doing a thing, or not. Or I'm going collecting the wild. There's 5 other people going. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing yet. So, but yeah, more than one thing while I'm there for sure. I've got 3 tapajos, full grown, 1 male, 2 female, and the male hates the angels in the tank with it. I could see that. They're a little more ornery than angels are typically. I set up a shrimp tank in my classroom and everyone's been excited. I was asked to consider putting it together. I was asked, okay. I could probably create from scratch, but thinking about resources. Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there a question there? Like, what am I trying to weigh in on here? I was asked to consider putting it together. I could probably create from scratch, but thinking about resources. Are you saying, okay, you're in another conversation. That's why I'm like, I feel like this is missing thing. We're having a conversation with someone else. There's also a comment above. I'm considering an aquarium camp. Over the summer at my school. Any thoughts on good book or resources to build curriculum from? Now it's coming together for me. Let me think. The only thing I can think of is maybe getting some loose structure on the science units where they use like a 2-liter bottle. They try to like keep fish below. They put like dirt above and like some grass seeds and try to get that going. That might be a loose structure, but I don't know if there's a good like documented program for something like this. In the way I would try to do it is maybe loosely base it around my video that's, 60 days to a seasoned aquarium and trying to figure out, okay, how many times are these groups of people going to come in and how do we keep them engaged? Like, okay, yeah, you come in at week 5 and you get your snail and then, trying to do all of that. There's always workshops at stores where they'll like, okay, it's a $100 buy-in, you get these resources to build the thing, but those are morally, man, I'm making up words. I was trying to say mostly and more often. Morally, those are, kind of a one and done event or maybe a couple weekends. And we've talked about, someone's just like, why not do a thing like that? Scheduling becomes real difficult with lots of, different families and they're on vacation, they're doing a thing. And so trying to be more forgiving. And I think something like that where like over the course of a summer, trying to get a tank stable, teaching a little bit, and then towards, the end of the summer, they're putting fish in and kind of getting ready for the school season, I think could be fun. So I think you're in a little bit of a new territory of, what's the age group? Are we talking 10-year-olds? Are we talking 15-year-olds? Are we talking families with adults? Are we talking, and trying to figure out what's going to keep them engaged? How often, Because if it's 60 days to seasoned aquarium, every week might get boring. Maybe it's every 2 weeks you come and here's the next step. Go home and do this. And then the next 2 weeks after that, come and do this. Have I ever considered doing the ALA SCAP program? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that acronym. Let me see if that pops up on Google. ALA SCAP program. What is that? Species Conservation Award Program. No, I've been a part of CARES program, which is, without reading through the whole thing, it seems very similar at the moment. But no, I didn't know that the Species Care Award Program existed. In my mind, everything was just CARES, which I don't know how they differ. So. Let's see here. And give them nets and go to the creek and start them young. Yeah, that sounds fun, but it also sounds like a logistical nightmare, and you gotta have a lot of parents and chaperones so no one gets hurt. Also, depending on where that camp would be, a lot of stuff you catch in the wild has to stay cold. You need chillers to keep them cold enough in a house. But if you're like, oh, we're gonna catch rainbow shiners or something. But I also think the average person wants colorful tropical fish as much as we go, but rosy barbs are cool. Or not rosy barbs, sorry. Rainbow shiners are cool. A neon tetra is just a cooler fish, let's be honest. Or a guppy or something like that. They're just more colorful. They're easier access. You can get more. You can pick the one you want. You won't have some kids that can't catch them, and then they're just demoralized. But no, it sounds cool as an adult, having access to all that, getting into nature. How do I care for newly bought blackworms? I'm in noob mode. Well, okay. Caring for them, it's kind of a can of worms here. You can keep them in the fridge and rinse them every day. You can try to sustain a culture in home aquarium, which is not that difficult, but then becomes harder to harvest. Then you can level up to I want to farm them, and that's another level of what kind of grow trays, what kind of systems are you doing? And basically it's we're kind of opening a thing that could be I could have a 5-hour nerd conversation just about blackworm farming and techniques I've seen and what are you having success with. And it's not one of those yeah, here's what you're gonna know. You kind of gotta figure out what level are you trying to buy in on this at? You trying to go full on farm? You trying to go oh, I'm just wanting to feed them to fish. I'm gonna buy them every once in a while. Or are you trying to go well, I wouldn't mind them making more slowly and then figuring out how to harvest some. Yeah, you could do that a little hang-on breeder box. And there's a lot of methods, a lot of ways, and I think we'd have to really narrow that down and make a nerd video or a forum topic on it. I think would be a great use for something like that. Depending on your age group and your location, your school district, the county office of education may have a salmon in the classroom program that you can build off of. Good idea. We have some of those in Washington, and it's cool to see little reports on how many they grew out, how many they released back. And yeah, we've helped donate supplies to some of that stuff sometimes. So yeah, I don't know, yeah, obviously it depends where. All right. I think I'm coming close to calling this in. I'm up to 10 active conversations and messages between different teams and people. So I'm up to 10 things that I'll have to answer when I get off of here. And that seems like a number of that's building up. I should probably start answering some of these people. Pumpkin seed fish. Never kept them. They look cool though. Do I still suggest tiger barbs with clown loaches? What do you think the clown loaches best tank mates are in a 210, 80 to 82? Yeah, I do still recommend that. I still consider, I basically threaten that every time I'm dissatisfied with the 800 gallon and someone else in the room, I go, I should just do tiger barbs again. That tank was awesome. And then Dean or whoever no, not tiger barbs again. You've already done that. But I love that tank. So yeah, you could convince me real easy to do tiger barbs with clown loaches again in a 210 gallon. Heck yeah, that'd be great. Do it. I enjoyed that tank, and I got bored of it too after a couple years. But everything in life's that way for me. So many years, like, it's doing the same thing. I want to try other stuff, and then you try other stuff, and you learn that you like what you like. And that's what I'm learning. Killer Kitty coming in with 5 memberships. Congrats. If you want a membership, you can link that up, save 5% on the website. You can also get access to 60 plus professional talks. Yeah, for the Geophagus Tapajos, you can, I've heard, you can get them from Imperial Tropicals. I literally might order some myself later today. I tried to order them from Dave's Rare Fish, but turns out it didn't have enough. So I myself, like, I'm recommending those Tapajos, I myself am into them as well. And knowing that there's some in stock in Imperial Tropicals, which you can save 5% if you use our code Aquarium Coop. If you end up ordering them, we get a little cut too. But yeah, I might look at that later. It's really easy to put off work and go, well, I'm at work, I'm shopping fish. Oh yeah, should I do a tank about that? Should I do this? And I'm working. Soft shell tacos are just sloppy Joe. Wait, are just sloppy made burritos? I thought they were gonna go with sloppy Joes, and I was like, I could see that. Speaking of which, I need to put in a request with the mother-in-law. Sloppy Joes, please. It's been way too long since I've been having sloppy Joes. Katie, my wife, if you're listening, put the bat signal out for sloppy Joes. I think it has to have been over a year since I've had any sloppy Joes. I tend to be all in out. Oh, hold on. I tend to be the all in, all out level on most things. It seems to be a good way to travel through life and learning. Yeah, I find that as well. Lots of, I wouldn't say lots of risk, but lots of reward. Deep dive and crazy down the rabbit hole sometimes. I had one today. Oh, yeah, I need. Also, I think I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna live off of like some Bavarian meat snacks. And if you're watching Deep in the Mulm, Randy's converted me to these chicken sticks. If you're looking for your next Costco buy, these things are kind of amazing. Yeah. Just know you only get 4 of the teriyaki and like 8 of the original. Still good anyway, but yeah. So if you're walking through the Costco's and you see those and you're a fan of the meat snacks, that's a yes. It's a yes move. Okie dokie. All right, I'm calling. I gotta work. I literally gotta work. I was like looking for. I'm in that mode. It's Friday, you know. It's like that work mode where you're like looking to like, oh man, is there anything to do besides work right now? Like, it's almost like one time I worked and I was a delivery guy, but back when he got back to the office, we had like a view, and like it was killer to be like, oh, it's so nice out right now. Like, can I leave early? Like, nope. Okay. I just noticed I gotta change my filter pad. It's like overflowing up there. Oh, I gotta get up on the ladder. So, all right. Well, if you guys can do me a favor, buy all of our crap. We got lots of foods. We got fertilizer. We got sponge filters. We got air pumps. We got live plants. We got other things. We got all kinds of stuff. If you need stuff and you don't mind buying it from us, we'd surely appreciate it. We do a good job. We try to hire good people. We got Candy to take care of. We got other customer service reps. We got people in Kentucky. We got people in Washington. We got people, I don't want to call them out, but we got people in other states working for us too. And yeah, I didn't realize. How long's this been? Instead of moderators having wrenches, they have shields now. Yeah, I saw it on my wife and I was like, whoa, Dorica's got a shield. What does that mean? And must be moderator status. So instead of the wrench, it's a shield. I don't know what I think about that. Is that more like you got to protect me? All right. Well, I got to go back to work. I realize this is work, but I'm going to do other work. Stephen P just showing up. He might be doing his live stream later tonight. Who else is today? Today would be Lucas Bretts. I think KG Tropicals might be going live today as well. And yeah, so I'm out. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Good distraction from the other work that I do. And thanks for all the support. Clearly, you guys buy sponge filters and other things from us. We appreciate that. And yeah, if you need it, I'm surprised that giant sponge filter is not on camera. I assumed it's so big it has to always be on camera because you can't get it out of the camera range. But yeah. All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. Got to find the right buttons to shut this shindig down.